The roar of a P-51 Mustang is unchanging, firm, solid, and loud, as is the beauty of her simple yet recognizable shape. But the one thing that was ever-changing on the P-51 during World War II was her paint jobs. Perhaps more so than any other aircraft in service during the war, the P-51, due to its widespread use, saw more unique liveries and fascinating nose art than almost any other fighter aircraft. Today, we will highlight and review some of the best. 5 of the most iconic and creative designs ever put to the aluminum of the Mustang, and then the eventual fates of these stunning warbirds. Coming in first, oftentimes nose art is drawn so painstakingly small that even a good design can get overlooked. But that is certainly not the case with the Donald Duck Mustang. While this P-51 never actually received a name, it really doesn't need one. Donald Duck will clearly do just fine. A member of the 4th Fighter Group and flown by Captain Donald Emerson, this aircraft saw plenty of action and likely carried him during many of his 89 combat missions, while he scored 7 victories over German aircraft in the summer and fall of 1944. This Mustang boasted one of the largest and no doubt most recognizable pieces of nose art during the war. Thanks to the Disney company, who freely offered many of their artists and images for use by combat fighter and bomber groups, Captain Donald got to fly with his cartoon counterpart on the side of his bird, and no doubt brought laughs to bomber crews like the one in this photo, as he flew by with an easily recognizable icon displayed for his big friends to see. Donald would also display the fighting fists that were synonymous with the 4th Fighter Group and can be seen in one of the later aircraft on this list as well. Tragically, Captain Emerson was shot down and killed in December of 1944 while flying a different aircraft on an escort mission. But also, the Donald Duck Mustang would be lost as well, almost at the end of the war. On March 18th of 1945, it experienced an engine failure over England and the pilot would bail out and survive. But Donald Duck met a fiery demise on the English soil below. Up next, we go to one of the most recognized liveries of the Mustang during World War II, the so-called blue-nosed bastards. And this particular blue-nosed Mustang of the 352nd Fighter Group would be that of Lieutenant Colonel John Mayer, named Pety II. Now, what makes this Mustang nose art particularly good is how it includes a name, a piece of unique art underneath the cockpit, and then a very long tally of German kills to boot. It is actually quite rare to have any sort of aircraft art on American aircraft located here instead of the nose, and especially with kill markings wrapped around it. Supposedly, the Lieutenant Colonel even requested that his swastika kill markings were painted from white to yellow to make them stand out even more, and showing that he took great pride in the look of his P-51. Now, while Mayer did in fact only score 2 of his 24 confirmed kills in this aircraft, this was his personal fighter, which he painted all of his victories on. It was also no doubt the best looking of the planes that he flew. Also, interestingly, according to my research on her serial number, after the war, this fighter was not lost nor scrapped, but instead somehow made its way to the American Air Power Museum in Long Island, New York, where it was preserved for a while. At the latest update, it was currently located at Lackland Air Force Base, but I could find no photo or evidence to back that up. Coming in at number 3 on today's list is an aircraft without any nose art, but instead simply a name. And obviously, if one wants to make this list with just the name, it better be a good one. And this P-51 proudly meets that bar. Say hello to Flung Dong. Flung Dong certainly has proven to be one of the most difficult aircraft to research for me. This is likely as it appears that this P-51 was assigned to the 9th Air Force, which did not do quite as good of a job at collecting photos and records after the war as the 8th Air Force located in England. But what I was able to find was this: a handful of photos of the Mustang and one of her pilots, Robert McWhirter, as well as photo evidence of another P-51B model boasting the same name, before it was lost in 1944. So this specific D model was no doubt the second version of this design. Particularly noteworthy on this Mustang is the 3 Japanese and 3 German kills on the side, a very rare feature that likely indicates that her pilot, McWhirter, served in the Pacific for an initial tour of duty, downing 3 Japanese aircraft, before coming to Europe for a second tour, in which he downed 3 more Germans. This also explains the clearly Pacific-themed design of the nose art, which was likely carried over from a plane he flew there. Other than this, all that was able to be located on this serial number was that the aircraft was likely a victim of a taxiing incident in March of 1945 and was subsequently written off, ending the story of Who Flung Dong. In the runner-up spot is the most requested Mustang by TJ3 History viewers, the iconic Big Beautiful Doll. This warbird was also one without any traditional nose art. However, I think we can all agree that the checkered boards can count for something, as it is one of the best looks that the U.S. Army Air Force ever displayed. Big Beautiful Doll would be the Mustang of the 78th Fighter Group Commanding Officer Jack Landers, and if nothing else was one of the most well-executed pieces of nose art ever to grace the side of a Mustang. With beautiful color coordination, a perfect script font, and a full grid of swastikas topping it off, she was an undeniably gorgeous Mustang. Flying in this P-51, Landers scored no less than 2 of his 5 air-to-air kills in Europe, and a handful of other grounded kills as well, including 9 HE-177s on the 16th of April, 1945. Also noteworthy would be the Japanese Rising Sun flags once again mixed with German kill markings, as Landers too had served in the Pacific before coming over to Europe. Some evidence about the fate of this particular Mustang points to becoming a civilian plane after the war, but I was not able to find out anything for certain. Finally, we go to the number 1 spot for this video, another Mustang of the 4th Fighter Group that was flown by one of her most famous pilots, Don Gentili. This would be Shangrila. A word which means earthly paradise, it was a fitting name for Gentili's Mustang, as he would fly it to become one of the most famous American pilots of the war. Although not all of his 19 aerial kills were scored in Shangrila, many were, flying in a time when the Luftwaffe was still fairly powerful, and dogfights against Messerschmitts were no simple challenge. The bulk of Shangri-La's victories would come in early 1944 and would be painted on the side of the Mustang on a white scroll, making them very sleek and noticeable. Furthermore, the 4th Fighter Group's tradition of boxing mascots was represented well, as his bird is ready for action with a solid yellow background, making it stand out even more. Fittingly, this piece of unique nose art would come to a very unique end. After becoming the darling of newspapers back in the States due to his high kill tally, Don Gentili's final mission became something of a milestone and was well attended by the press. Upon his return to Debden Field on April 13th of 1944, Don Gentili was well aware that plenty of reporters would be on the side of the airfield recording and waiting for his return. So he decided to give them a dramatic low pass, buzzing the airfield for them to see. But in the process, he came in too low and struck his propeller on the ground. Luckily, he was able to pull up and brought Shangrila down for a belly landing in a field nearby. Gentili would be embarrassed, but okay. Shangrila, however, was totaled, riding off one of the most beautiful Mustangs of the war. To close, here is one more special piece of nose art featuring the Patreon members who help make this video possible. These are some of the newest members who have decided to support my content. Consider joining my Patreon like them at the link below so I can keep telling these stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.